So, Mike, since we talked last, the finalized schedules come out. So, just your reaction, things you like, things you don't like, stuff like that.
I mean, it's a good schedule. We're playing some really good teams. We're playing even non-power teams that won their league. Fresno State won their league last year in the tournament. Have four returning starters back that all average double figures. So even those type of teams are a very good team, and it'll really help our RPI. So we have a really good schedule, to be honest with you, Greg.
Justin, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Hey, I was just kind of looking at schedules, kind of going off Greg's question here, and you guys are scheduled to play, I think your last game is like the 24th, I think, of February, something like that. The Big 12 tournament, I believe, would start 2 weeks later. So
right.
I'm kind of assuming that 2 weeks in between might be reserved for, like, if games get postponed or canceled, or could you kind of talk about, like, protocols with stuff like that?
Yeah, that's exactly what was done that week, that first week after the end of the season. That was held open on purpose. That's pretty much why they moved 2 games to December, to be honest with you. And they held that week open so games that were called off or whatever could be played that final week here.
Michael Sussman.
Just kind of in general, how are things gelling in practice so far? I know you have a number of newcomers this year. Kind of how's it going in incorporating everybody into the mix?
Well, it's going good. I mean, really, I'll be honest with you. I think our players are getting tired of practicing right now. And, you don't have the exhibition game. You don't have the scrimmage against an outside opponent. You don't have that type of stuff. The only people they're going against is each other and the male practice players. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to come out like a game day today and go 4 quarters against the practice players and get it on film and start getting ready for Fresno State and LSU.
John Antonik, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you announced your recruiting class, I guess yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And I know you've talked about it in the past. What made this so different that you were able to have such a strong recruiting year? And were these normal areas that you've gone in to get these players? What made this unique and so good for you?
Well, it was unique because everything was done by Zoom. And, of the 4 that signed, I'm trying to think, only 3 of the 4 had been down here early. We've got we were on them early. So I just think, they like what they saw when they come down here early. And then, the conversations we were having during the Zoom calls and all that. Very fortunate. I always kid and tell people I do a better job recruiting when they can't meet me personally. If I'm just on a Zoom call, they like me a lot better, evidently. But we were very fortunate. We got those 4 verbals early, and we were very fortunate. We really were.
What makes these players so unique and so coveted? Is it their size? Is it their skill for the positions? What is it?
Well, JJ, the point guard, she is very skilled, very talented, can score plus deliver the basketball, handles the ball extremely well. She came off an injury her junior or sophomore year, and a lot of people didn't know how she would recover, but she recovered very well and is very good. Then the other 3 are all about 6'1". They can play the 3 position, play the 4 position. They give you a lot of latitude in positions they can play, but they're all, have very good skill. This is probably, since I've been here, from top to bottom, one of the better recruiting classes we have got.
Real quick, last thing here before we move on. Getting these 4, and you said the versatility, is it almost like you've got 8 players in 4 because they can play multiple positions?
Yeah, you can look at it that way. now once they get in practice, we'll see if some can play out on the, that's a little bit different defensively and all that. But I'm very high on all four of these players and very excited. And, I think they'll have a great career, all four of them here at West Virginia. And I think they'll contribute as a freshman too. I don't think they're going to come in and sit. I think they'll be able to come in and contribute immediately.
Greg Hunter, go ahead.
Mike, a few weeks ago, I remember during an interview, we talked about like the thresholds they need to be able to play. And I think some people had suggested 6 or 7 players minimum. You had said at least 8. So have you gotten word on what exactly you're going to have as a minimum to be able to play?
Greg, I think they came up with 7. I think it's 7. That's fine. That's fine. The whole thing is we need to get a season in. We need to get games in and all that. So 7's the cutoff, and then, everybody will have to play with 7, and that'll be fine. I know the problem on the men's side was, in our meetings, was they had to count walk-ons. And so that I don't know if they ever got that straightened out or not, but if you got to count walk-ons, could be one of the 7. Heck, you could have 4 walk-ons and only 3 scholarship kids and have to play a game. So, it is going to create some problems.
Justin, go ahead.
Along some of those lines, obviously, I think the other day some news came out that some men's games have already been canceled due to COVID stuff. I'm just kind of wondering here that, I'm sure coaches across the country, men's and women's, are keeping their fingers crossed that they can get in as many games as possible. But protocols as far as if games do get canceled or postponed or just, coaching during this time. I mean, this is obviously a very unique situation. And, what kind of discussions have you had with Shane about different protocols as far as getting games in or if games get canceled and, and that sort of thing?
Well, yeah, I mean, pretty much the Big 12 is making them protocols, what's being done. Like I said, we talked about earlier, we left that week, really 2 weeks before the tournament where games could be made up. 7 players, you have to be able to have 7 players to play the game. And if you don't, it'll be postponed. And, some schools will be able to pick it up if they want to play 3 games a week, during the week, or they can wait to that last week after the end of the season. So, I think there's going to be both schools are going to have to agree, and then the Big 12 will be involved greatly.
Michael, go ahead.
What have you seen on film so far from Fresno State and LSU?
Well, we play Fresno first. Like I said, they have 4 guards back. They start 4 guards and a 6'2" center. So it's really 5 perimeter out. All 4 returning guards average double figures. They spread you. They shoot threes. They drive the ball. They do a lot of rubs on offense. Defensively, they're going to play you a little man. They're going to play you mostly a 2-3 matchup is pretty much what they're going to play on defense. LSU, same thing. They're going to play a matchup zone. They'll play a little bit of man. Fresno will press a little bit out of a 1-2-2, and it's just to take time off the clock, that type of stuff. So, we've been trying to work on both of them, some of their stats in practice now. And like I said, after today, we'll get into it a lot more. We'll show them film on both of them and start really doing scouts on both of them.
Spencer, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. So when you look over the past few weeks of practice, is there a player that stands out to you in terms of someone that maybe you didn't initially see as becoming a large offensive presence or having a large role within the offense that maybe now has caught your eye?
Yeah, well, I think Esmeri has really, I've said that before. I think Esmeri is really going to add some scoring this year to us, either from the 4 position or the 3 position. So I really like the way she's come along. And then Jayla Hemingway, the transfer from Mississippi State, I think is really starting to learn our defense and you know what we do offensively in that. So, and then I think you know you have Kaiser that can score, KK can score. Madison Smith is shooting the ball a lot better right now than she did last year. And then I think the other young lady that's really finishing very well is Rochelle Norris. She's really calmed down and has a lot more confidence. So I've been very excited about her in practice.
Kevin Kinder, go ahead.
Hey, Mike, two more on the schedule. After your non-conference strength of schedule kind of hurt you a little bit for postseason selection the last year or two, how much of an emphasis was beefing that up this year? How difficult was it to keep that with the way the schedules went nuts? And then who gets the credit? Who works on the schedule? Who does the games in the women's program?
Well, really, you know, Megan, our operation person, deals with recruiting. And, you know, we get together and we say, hey, we got to do this. We want to stay within this RPI. We want to beef it up some. We don't want anybody below a certain RPI and that type of stuff. And then, you know, people are calling back and forth and that type of stuff. But, you know, really, we were fortunate. We had two teams drop us when all this happened, and we was able to pick up some good teams in their place. So we've been very fortunate. We did try to pick up a couple more Power Fives, local Power Fives, but it just didn't work out. So we were trying to beef it up a little bit more with Power Fives, which didn't work out for us.
Greg, go ahead.
Mike, we got a chance to talk to Kaiser yesterday, and you've talked about her, you know, improvement in terms of conditioning and such, and she talked extensively about that. Have you ever had I guess, a veteran player transform her body like that before, and what benefits has that provided her?
Not to that extent, I'll be honest with you. I've had people come back in better shape. I've had people come back really worked on their game, but she did both. And you know, the benefits from it, you know, defensively, I'm telling you what, it's like night and day with her guarding the ball now. She moves her feet extremely well. And then offensively, of course, she can go around people a lot quicker and that type of stuff. She could always score. I just think she's going to do a lot of things for this team, offensively and defensively. And it's contagious. You know, Madison Smith's a great defensive player. I've always said she's one of the better point guard defenders we've had in a long time. And Kaiser is very good, and KK Deans is a very good defender. Esmeri has become a lot better defender. So I think we're going to be a little bit better defensively than what we've been last couple of years. That's probably been the biggest disappointment. Two things: we haven't scored, and our defense hadn't helped us to get some easy buckets at the other end. And I think we'll be able to do that a little bit this year.
John Antona, go ahead.
Last one for me, and this is kind of a general question. When you're building a team, do you build it from the inside out? And when you're recruiting, do you look for the best players you can get and then fit them into what you're doing? Or do you have specific things that you're looking for that you try to piece around? How do you build that?
Well, I think this past recruiting class is the best players that we could get. And we definitely needed a point guard in that class, which we were able to, a great point guard. And then we needed some 3-4s, that type of players. Now in the 22 class that we're getting ready, then we're going to go for need. You know what I mean? It depends on the class. We need another post player. And we probably, because of Madison's going to be a junior, we probably need another point guard and then maybe another shooter. So it'll be more need, the 22 class. And the 21 class, man, we went after the best players we could get. And we were very fortunate to get the 4 we got.
Is it safe to say that you really need a couple of years to evaluate how you did, because you have to piece them together and fit them and make how it works with your roster then, man?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, you never know when recruits come. You know, they look good on paper and then they get here. You just never know. But, you know, these are good students also come from good families. So I think we hit it pretty good on these four. I think we really hit it where we needed to. We needed to up the talent on our roster, and we were able to do that with good people and good students. So I think we're going to reap a lot of benefits from this recruiting class on and off the floor.
We'll take this last question from Justin Jackson. Go ahead.
Coach, Kaiser was saying the other day that, she was sort of glad that this team is kind of flying under the radar a little bit as far as preseason polls and predictions and that sort of thing. I'm just kind of wondering what your take is on that because, obviously you've been on the other end of the spectrum where you've been preseason ranked and expected to finish high and stuff like that. I'm just kind of wondering, is this team flying under the radar? And it seems like it might be able to exceed those expectations a little bit.
Well, we hope we can. I felt bad for some of our players that a couple of them just received honorable mention. I mean, they worked extremely hard, and I think they're going to do a lot better than honorable mention in the Big 12. But, that happens every year. It doesn't matter it matters post, and we'll see what happens postseason. So, I'm excited. This team plays extremely hard. Our chemistry on this team is a lot better than it was last year. The players are a lot closer. They do a lot of things together. But also, I think we play better defense. I think we're very athletic. We get up and down the floor. And I think all five players on the floor play defense, unlike last year. I didn't think all five played defense. And, we need some of our younger players to come along, buy into the defense, buy into playing hard. And if they do that, then we'll be, we'll have right now, I think we can play 7, 8 players. Hopefully we can get up to 9 or 10. And that depends on if our younger players, buy in. And if they buy in, they got a chance to help us.